Hi, I'm Jimmy, aka Perceptes. What makes music good is obviously completely subjective, but generally speaking, good music needs to strike the right balance between freshness and repetition. If a melody, for example, goes on forever without ever repeating a note or a phrase, it can sound random and lose the listener's attention. You need something to anchor to. That's where repetition comes in. Repeating an idea, be it a sequence of notes or a rhythmic pattern, is what anchors the listener. When it repeats, they recognize it, and suddenly a sequence becomes music. But if the idea repeats over and over and over without any change, the listener gets bored or fatigued. I think a good practice when composing music is to follow the 8-bar rule. The rule is simple: change something every 8 bars. It doesn't have to be a big change. It could be bringing in a new instrument, or varying a melodic or rhythmic phrase. It could be a timbral change, such as changing the cutoff frequency of a filter, or changing the effects processing of a sound. If the song has vocals, it could be changing the lyrics. As long as at least something changes, you're more likely to hold the listener's attention, and they'll have the repetition to anchor them, while providing just enough development for them to think, oh, something new. In Modular, with Pamela's Pro Workout, we can use a combination of features to automatically generate fresh changes every 8 bars. This is a great way to improvise for a live performance, or simply to find new ideas to further develop a composition. Ready to learn how this technique works? Let's get started. Okay, I've got a few cables patched already just to save us a little bit of time. I've got a quarter note pulse coming out of Pamela's Pro Workout that's going to be triggering Crater, our kick drum, just on the quarter note downbeat. That's also copied into the sync of the delay, which is the Erica Synth's Black Stereo Delay 2. I've got the output of Basimilus Ateritas Alia, which is going to be our melodic voice, patched through the Bastel Icaria filter and into the delay. And then the output of our two voices, the kick drum, which is Crater by WMD, and the delay from the voice into my mixer. Let's start setting up the sequence for our melodic voice. We're going to use the second output of Pamela's Pro Workout to sequence the pitches of Basimilus Ateritas Alia. So let's set the multiplier to 4, so we get new values on each 16th note. And then we'll edit the extended settings. We'll change the shape of the output to sample and hold, stepped random voltages, so a different random voltage on each 16th note. We're going to turn down the level to 20% so that the highest pitch it'll play will be only 2 octaves above the bass line. Otherwise, we'll get very, very high pitches, which won't sound very good in a melody. Then we're going to set the probability to 75% so that we don't get pitches on every single step to give us a little bit of rhythmic variety in our sequence. And then we're going to set the loop to 4 beats. So even though we're getting random pitches for each 16th note, it's going to loop a pattern of a measure, and that's going to keep going forever unless we do something to change it up, which you'll see in a moment. Finally, we're going to set the quantizer to natural minor, so the CV pitches coming out will be appropriate for the minor scale. Let's patch that in. So we're going to take a cable out of the second output into the pitch of Basimilus Ateritas Alia. Next, we need to trigger the sound. So on output 3, we're going to do something similar. We're going to change the multiplier to 4. So again, we've got 16th notes, and this just needs to be a trigger, so the default shape is fine, the level's fine. But we want the probability to sort of match what we're doing for the pitches, so we're going to have the third output follow the second output. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to use a cross operation. If we change the cross operation to mask, and the source of the cross operation to out2, then the third output will only trigger when the second output triggers. And that will make it so that even though the probability is random on the second output, the third output will only trigger when there's a value on that second output. So let's patch that in. Cable from the third output into the trigger input on Basimilus. Now we've got enough patch so that we can actually hear something. Let's start the sequence and listen. So that melody was randomly generated by the sample and hold, but notice that it's looping every measure, and that's because we set the loop on the pitch sequence on channel 2 of Pamela's Pro Workout to 4 beats. But that's just going to repeat forever. So what we want to do is reset that, and we can do that with a cross operation. We're going to take the 4th output of Pamela's Pro Workout, and we're going to self-patch that into the CV1 input. And then on the 4th output, we're going to set the division of the time to divided by 32. Remember, every 4 beats is a measure. So 32 is going to give us 8 measures, 8 bars. So that's going to send out a trigger that starts every 32 beats. And then back on our 2nd channel, if we go into the extended settings again, and we go to the cross operation, if we scroll all the way to the right, the last cross operation is called seed. And what this will do is it'll reset the random generation from the sample and hold, and we'll get entirely new sequence. We need to set when that gets triggered though. So we move over to the next output. We're going to need to set this to input 1. Now, if you turn to the left, you'll see that the source of the cross operation can be CV1 or CV2. Don't get confused by this, because even though these jacks are labeled CV1 and CV2, the CV1 and CV2 sources for the cross operations actually means that you're using the CV value to control which output is the source. What we want is to actually sample the trigger coming in on that CV input. So if we turn all the way to the right, we want to select in 1. And so now, when we play, we'll get a loop like we did before. But after 8 bars of this, we'll get a new loop, because that 4th output is triggering the seed and reseeding our random pattern. There, you hear that? It just changed. Okay, so that's the basics of the technique, is using that seed cross operation with a trigger every 8 bars to get us a new melody. We can do the same thing for modulation as well. So we're going to use the bottom 4 outputs that are remaining on Pamela's Pro Workout for 4 different stepped random voltages that we'll use for modulating Bacillus aterotoscilia. I'll patch output 5, and then I'll do 6, 7, and 8 off camera because they're exactly the same as 5. So let's move to the 5th output. We're going to set the modifier to 4 because we want a new value on every 16th note. We're going to change the shape to stepped random. In this case, we're not going to set the level because we want the full range of CV, and we'll see why in a minute. We're going to leave the probability at 100% as well because we want a stepped value on every 16th note, regardless of whether there's a note playing. We're going to loop the beats to 4, just as we did before. And we're going to set up the cross operation exactly the same. So we set it to seed. And what triggers that seed is going to be CV input 1. So I'll now repeat that for outputs 6, 7, and 8. Now that we've got outputs 5 through 8 configured, let's patch them up. We're going to patch each one into the inputs of the Lapsus Os from Noise Engineering, which is a 4-channel attenuator. While we can attenuate the outputs directly on PAM, I'm doing it through the Lapsus Os so that we have the ability to change on the fly how much modulation is being let through to Bacillus, and we can use that as a performance tool. So we've got all 4 of those modulation signals patched in to the 4 inputs of Lapsus Os. We're now going to take the attenuated signal out of Lapsus Os and patch them into controls on Bacillus. So the first one is going to go into the harmonics input. The second one will be the wave folder. The third one will be the wave morph. And the fourth one will be the decay time. Let's listen to what it sounds like now. Same as before. but we can bring in modulation by letting some of the signal through, by bringing up these controls. Here's the harmonics control. We'll start to hear some higher pitches in there from those extra overtones. Wave folding. Wave shape via the morph control. A little bit goes a long way with that one. And then the decay time. Now let's bring in some delay as well. And I've also got a drone configured off screen to anchor us in the key. So now we've got a great sounding melody, and it'll automatically change every 8 bars. Not only will the melody change, but the modulation patterns will change, which will give us a different timbral quality each time around. Here it just changed. And this frees us up to not think about sequencing and keeping the sequence fresh, and we can fully focus on performing. So now I can focus on the filter, for example. Or I could change the amount of attenuation on lapsus os for more timbral change over time, while the sequence stays otherwise the same. Pamela's Pro Workout is an incredibly useful module, and as we've seen, makes it easy to follow the 8-bar rule. I've done videos about Pam before, but there's always something more to explore and share with it. If you want to explore the module further, check out my video, The Amazing Versatility of Pamela's Pro Workout, by clicking the card on the screen, or following the link in the video description. If you found the video valuable, I hope you'll follow along for more like it. And why not join the Discord community to discuss modular and music production? It's free to join, and I'd love to have you. I'd also very much appreciate your support on Patreon. You can join for free, or chip in a few dollars a month for step-by-step patch notes for videos like this one, high-quality audio downloads of every musical performance posted to the channel, sample packs, full access to Discord, and more. Check the video description for details. Thanks, and see you next time.